Hello, everyone. This is the Jarek Brian Show. My name is Jarek, and guys, pull up a chair, get all the family in the living room, guys. We got a very special guest. We got Derek from Dinky Linkers. Derek, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Jarek. I'm good. Glad to be here. Finally.
Yeah, no, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. You know, you came over here to Polygon and all that great stuff. But before we get into all that, kind of tell us your story. And how'd you get all the way over here into Web3?
So, about 8 years ago, I was getting out of like a MLM, and I'm like, I just can't do this anymore, and I'm like, I need to find something better. So I was starting to trade Forex, and so then I kind of gotten into a crypto MLM, which I'm like, gosh darn it, like, what am I doing with myself, right? So I took a second look, and I'm like, well, let's just stick to learning how to trade Forex. And then crypto started creeping in a little bit more. That was about 7 years ago. And ever since, I have kind of just stuck to crypto and still learning how to trade. And that's how I got to where I'm at now. And I started off in Multiverse X, which used to be Elrond, and now we're expanding in the Polygon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and kind of, talk about your kind of like time like on Multiverse X, right? Like how long were you there, right? And then also too, like, how it's been kind of over there and why branch over here and extend yourself to Polygon.
So back when I started getting into crypto, I took a lot of time to read white papers, and at the time there was roughly 1,200 cryptos out there, tokens and layer ones. A lot of the tokens were on Ethereum back in 2017, and we seen a huge boom in the ICO kind of craze, and that was interesting. And then we seen the big bust happen in 2018, and that was kind of what really drew me in. But then I had to go through all those white papers and figure out, where I wanted to put the little money that I had at the time. And so I decided it was kind of between like Zilliqa and Elrond, and I chose Elrond as they were trying to be very progressive, and they were kind of they were on the Zilliqa team in a way before that, and so they moved, and I kind of seen that, and it was kind of eye-opening to me because I had chosen like Zilliqa and Elrond, and then I read more of the background of what they did, and I was like, wow. So I kind of made the good decisions to begin with. I feel like the scalability. Sorry, my cat's
Yeah, no worries.
Get involved in what I do. His name's Pete. Yeah. And it seems like every time I get on a podcast, he wants to just get involved. And you could probably find him on every single podcast that I've done. He just gets so like into it. But back to it. So I chose Elrond, and I chose a couple others that I saw that were really good opportunities. And Polygon's just one of those things that have been around for so long, and I kind of faded it at first, right? Because there were so many layer twos and different things that were coming about. And so then I kind of started taking a second look at the community of Polygon and the main, what's going on Polygon, and with their roll-ups and everything. It's kind of like, why not be here where Ethereum, is probably going to spill over into Polygon, Arbitrum, a lot of these other layer twos that people aren't actually in as much, especially on the ETH side, because the lower liquidity, right? But I still see good opportunities people will definitely get involved with. But.
Yeah, also too, as I kind of see your project and everything like that, and it was such a unique name, Dinky Linkers. Can you kind of, what's kind of the what does that kind of like mean? Is there like certain meaning behind the actual name, like Dinky Linkers?
So I think it came from being like, well, as a kid, I was in kind of a strict family, and even I just it was just one of those words that I wasn't allowed to say, and so dinky or dink, you know what I'm saying? And so I thought it was just funny to like and it was original too, so I just Dinky Linkers, because we're linking chains, non-EVM and EVM alike. And so we'll be official in that capacity really soon as we launch our first domain name on Polygon. So that's really exciting, and we're working with Comet to do that in a lot of different ways. So that's another thing that we're really excited about. So
Yeah, and also too, like, kind of explain to everybody, like, as a whole, like, what exactly, like, one, Dinky Linkers, what exactly, like, is, like, the project too as well. And then the artwork is very unique. And if you can kind of, like, speak on, like, some of the different kind of, like, traits and artwork that you have, in that project. But first, kind of go into exactly what are you trying to accomplish with Dinky Linkers?
So I kind of just looked at the space, and I seen that there's domains already, right, and domain names. But there's a lot more that we can do and be more personal with them. And so we wanted there to be an NFT project that benefits from a name service. If you look at any other name service that is successful in any sorts, they've definitely got the volume. So how can I direct that value back into my project and back into my holders? And that I think that's the main reason for Dinky Linkers. And I am the artist and the founder of this project, and I haven't been an artist for very long. I actually failed art in 7th grade, but I think it's funny, I'm not really, I've been working on like animation and stuff too, so that's been really fun in the last year and a half, and I've done quite a few pieces that people like. And I had a prior collection, Degen Souls, and I did some animated art. It was like right when I started doing art, and I jumped right in, and something I enjoy. You'll probably see my animations all around Polygon, because I've been doing them for a lot of people just for fun. And so I just enjoy doing art, and it's helped in my life. And Dinky Linkers was really fun to do. A lot of the attributes were kind of just like 90s, kind of 90s vibe a little bit.
Yeah, and so you're talking about like domain services, right? And people kind of, there's so many different domain services out there, and somebody new kind of coming into the space. Like, what's the potential of like domain services?
So, I think the potential is that we can involve every other domain service out there in maybe what we do. and I feel like it's a very undeveloped space in this space. So it's like gotten me really excited. And that's kind of the name too, for Dinky Linkers, is like Dinky is small. I look at it, kind of as like small. So that's, we wanted to start out small, and we wanted to be kind of under the radar in the eyes of everybody else, and kind of like, they aren't anything, kind of like that's kind of the means, of why the name came about too, just so that people might like fade the Dinky,
Yeah.
so. But I did I took the name of my project, and then I started just everyone else started calling me Dinky, from my project name, so I just put that as my name on Twitter as my original account. So it's kind of like everyone just calls me Dinky, and so it's just the way it came about, and it's kind of funny that way. But
Yeah, and like I said, like, do you think that like domain services in the future is something that people are gonna want to kind of like use though? Like, do you see it kind of having staying power?
I do. I do in a lot of different ways. Well, we can decentralize Web 2, and also let them take part in what we're doing in Web 3. And I feel like that really hasn't been done yet, right? So Web 3 or Web 2 is still kind of just like gate kept, right? So you're just really just following the big companies. Well, we have big opportunities here in Web 3 to do more, to do what we want, right? And that's why, we're going to be building what we're building, which is different than any other name service, with the NFTs of Dinky Linkers being there to benefit along the way. And in different ways. I'm not, not financial advice, because it's not about the financial aspect of it, but what we're building to bring value. And maybe because we're in the US, so we can't promise profit. It's like, what I'm saying. So we would love to move out of the US at some point, and maybe have something on that on those terms. But we do want to do a referral service, or like a referral code, so we can do something in the legal bounds, right, of what the US allows. So
Yeah, no, and that's just it's kind of weird, kind of dealing with this like regulation and all these things that we still don't have like kind of a clear kind of understanding on some of these issues, right? And as far as kind of like the next cycle, right? Because there's going to be a next when the market turns green and everything like that. Like, do you think, in your opinion, do you think regulation will be here in this next cycle, or we're still kind of far away from it?
I feel like, in my total opinion, we
Yes.
don't really need regulation.
Oh, okay. I like that. Go ahead and tell me more about that.
I feel like CZ, okay, just for example, CZ and all of them, they had to make a deal of some sort. CZ's the fall guy.
Yeah.
He didn't want to wreck the crypto space, because I think the alternative of him fighting was then to wreck the crypto space. It could have had that repercussion, right? Because then it's more like, oh, CZ, the founder of Binance, is on the run, just for example, right?
Yeah.
So then, he took the high road, and took that, and I think, as we're moving forward, we're just seeing more centralization, which is not what we really want to see. In what I started, 7 years ago, as like, this is a revolution. This is what we can be, using for our own means, not for the government's means. not for them to step in and be like, whoa, 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 you can't do that, right? Oh, and this Bitcoin's dirty, and you can only use this Bitcoin, right? You know, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
only the newest Bitcoin off the lot, the minter that is from green energy, will be allowed to be used, or you know, this kind of thing. This is things that we're if you've been in Bitcoin long enough, we've heard of it, because you know, this is what we're looking at for the future, you know, and it's not really the best, you know. So I'm in my opinion, when Tornado Cash was destroyed, that's kind of when I was like, whoa, what is going on? How is something decentralized destroyed like that, or shut down? You know, that's what scared me, because now we know that some things in you know, like Ethereum can be shut down because the foundation probably can, you know, can do something about it. And so, you know, decentralization is the greatest thing, but at the same time, there is a sense of centralization in a scent of it that most aren't really looking at. So,
You know, and it's going to be a weird. I just know that eventually, you know, the U.S. or some form of regulation is going to come, right? And whether it's good or bad, I just know like that. You know, they're not going to let us. You know, like the party was going to have to be over, you know, at some point in that, right? And you know, as we're speaking about kind of Web3, right, regulation and everything like that, like, can you talk about like kind of what are some of the things like you kind of don't like about Web3, right? You talked about, you know, how like, you know, this was like kind of a revolution, right? But as of today, as of now, what are some things that you just kind of just don't like about Web3?
I don't know if there's anything I don't like about Web3, but the one thing that I do, that I have observed, is
Yes.
that most things aren't actually looked at deeply. And when people are investing their hard-earned money, they're not doing they're this is a gamble to people. And it's you know, and then I kind of look at, you know, like before NFTs, no regular person was going and buying art and saying, this might be more valuable one day. That just wasn't happening, you know. And then here come NFTs, and everyone's, you know, an artist. And I'm not saying that that's me, because I'm so amateur, right? But it all comes down to, like, you know, everyone's doing art and everyone's trying to siphon money from the next. And so I've seen it, and it's fine, because a lot of culture was brought on by, you know, what was before. And, you know, there's a few things holding on from the past, like Bored Apes, and, you know, like Sappy Seals, and, you know, different things like that have been around in NFTs and seem to be kind of like doing all right. But then we've also seen the hype just destroy people. And then we've seen even like Web2 businesses come in, and still, you know, it adds a lot of hype, right? I've seen projects backed by different people in the NBA, different brands, and then they're down like 90% still right now. Doesn't matter. The supply and demand, and, you know, that's not what people look at. And so, yeah, I've gotten wrecked on some things, but I've done really, really great on some things, you know. And I think, you know, learning what I've learned is, you know, never follow the hype, but always do your research. And that's always said, but I feel like it's never done. That's, you know, I guess what I've seen, right? It's not that I hate anything in Web3, because it's all about the learning of it. you know, it's like education if you want it. It's all there to see. You can learn from other people's mistakes. You can see what, you know, what you're doing wrong in like a future if you're in long enough, and then you can do something that's different and better for your portfolio or for you in general. You know, so
Yeah, and kind of like you're saying about like the hype and everything like that. Of course, we had the Bored Apes, right? We had all these projects, right? And some of them are down pretty bad right now. But as far as the tech, right, with NFTs, right, do you see that as something that's going to be kind of here long term and it's going to grow and evolve, or it's just kind of simply just going to go ahead and just kind of die out and something new will take its place?
no, I think it will evolve, and by the time we see it in the future, it won't look the same. So maybe it looks like it's a lot different than it, you know, started off as. Um, and I guess for domains, I see that the same way. And I've had lots of like future thoughts on what, you know, we could do with domains, but there's step by step process of all of this, just like AI. And like back in the 60s and the 50s, I think even AI just the thought of it was already there, but now it's just coming to fruition in a bigger way where everyone notices it. But if you look back in like the 70s, it was really some scientists that were just doing even small things were just like, whoa, oh my gosh, look at this, and people were like, so what? And it's like, that's a big thing. It's like, you know, it's like, so what? And now everyone's like, so like, oh my gosh, but it's actually the same thing and just a magnitude. So it's just silly like that.
Yeah, and just with name services and kind of everything like that. Do you think, like, how do you explain it to somebody that's like new and that that's new to the space, right? And this like has seen like name services kind of being like thrown around and everything like that. Like, how would you like onboard one to explain to the person like what exactly a name service is, and two, why would it be a good idea to actually have one?
Yeah, so the way I look at it right now is I see a trend of domains from even back when the internet started. We've been consolidating for 20 years. Oh, sorry about that. We've been consolidating in domains for 20 years, and a lot hasn't happened in the technological side of domains. And I feel like Web3 is the next step to a new kind of domain that you actually own. Because if you look at like how the internet's built, it's owned by like a company pretty much. And a lot of them are non-profit, like WordPress, and a lot are non-profit, but you know, they're still profit. I mean, they still gain profit. The total, you know, let's see, the total of domains in a year, what they capitalize at is, I think it's like 40 billion or something like that, and that's quite a lot. When it comes down to it, companies and different bigger corporations are what are buying, and some small, some smaller companies, right? Starting companies are buying domains, but we haven't seen the people go in there and buy domains yet, and that's where we are going to make them for like projects and personal domains that people that come into Web3. Everyone's going to come in at some point, I feel like, and they're going to want to represent their NFT in a different way. We were talking on Space earlier. I was saying that we were going to have them tied to NFTs also, which is, it could get really cool when you do that and have your NFT and the way people look at your NFT and the community that you're in, because you're on Twitter all the time, you have your domain ending as like .eth people do, and you can represent different PFPs and still have your main you're representing your main community, and I think that's really special as well. So yeah, I think that if you actually look at the trends, like .bro came out, and that excited me because I'm like, wow, it's like confirming. And then back when we were on Multiverse X, we hit I think it was 3 or 4 days, I can't remember exactly which, but we hit like top transactions in the days. Like I think it was top 5. So it was really outstanding. I mean, I think one day we hit like 9,000 transactions close to, or something like that. So it made me really hopeful for the future.
Yeah, no, and that's. I have a couple of domain services, and I like it. I like the idea, kind of like of it too as well. And you're saying like Multiverse X, right? You're on over there, right? You had experience on here, but so far, as you've been kind of here, like on Polygon, what has your experience like been like? Have you been like welcomed? How has it been actually being in the space and going on different spaces? And can you kind of like describe like how that's been?
Yeah, I would say that once you start going into Polygon spaces, you start seeing the same people all around, which means that everybody's supporting everybody, which is critical when it comes to a blockchain and how it moves forward, and how people work together. It's kind of like Comet just opened their arms up, and they're like, let's go, let's do this. And it really opened my eyes to like when you build something substantial, or when you're trying to build something substantial, people care, and people really will take you to the next level here on Polygon. And that made me have a different thought about how I'm approaching this, and how we can actually take this level of what Polygon has and go bring it to other chains and start a chain reaction, right?
Yeah.
And really just because I try to tell people, it's like I looked at all the assets you can have on Web 2, and domains is like one of the few that you can actually have on Web 3, and it can have a higher volume, which can do more, and that's, I think, if you look at like the Ethereum Foundation, they're building Ethereum with that, and I think they're doing a lot with that. So I think we can do even more just with our service and how we build into Web 2, because it's something we can, and we're working with AI, and we're doing we're making an AI website builder, and that's really cool too. As we move forward, it's going to be really essential that we have something that can be used for Web 2 and Web 3, and be used by anyone that needs it to start a business or project. Will be really awesome, I think.
Yeah, so you brought up an interesting point, right? And something that I've been kind of, I played with Chat GPT-4, right? And, I love it, right? And I've kind of, embraced the idea of kind of like AI, right? And kind of like, what's your kind of take on actually AI technology in itself, right? Is it, when people kind of use it, right, and they kind of call people out like, hey, man, you're using AI either to like, write posts or do things like that, like, do you think that takes away from that person, or is that person smarter for using the tool to their advantage though? Because they may not be, very efficient in like writing like long form content and things like that. What's kind of your take on using AI technology?
So I see it as like a double-edged sword, because people can see it really easily, but like, so I think the AI that people are using right now is really broad. So I call it like a broad AI, right? So a lot of people, when they use it, they're getting like a answer that is kind of like it's like this big instead of like narrow in what they're asking for, right? So you would have to break it down into like feelings then, right? But with the AI that we're trying to create, it's not about feelings but design. So you're like telling it what to do, and that's what excited me. You're like, do this for me, and then it does it. It creates it. It makes the like your background what like a color blend even. Like you ask it to blend colors, it will even do it. Like that kind of thing was like, wow, we can do a lot with this. And then now with the animated AI that's coming out, that's really cool, right? And then being able to actually, if we had all the funds to create a big AI, if we wanted to build a huge AI with our AI developer, that's just essential to making us successful. And he's a friend of a friend, which is really awesome. And he studied at the university, I really am like coming to a blank. I don't even know why, but
no worries. No worries though. But as somebody, as like a founder, right? You're a founder, right? And somebody comes to you, right? And is you kind of notice in their work they're kind of using AI tech, right? As a founder, does that kind of like make you think like, oh, this person's kind of lazy, or they're just, like I said, they're ahead of the curve by using this to their advantage to try, to get on with, maybe work with you or somebody else?
So I think that using AI in the right ways, and I guess it depends on what you're doing or trying to accomplish, because people are making new AI tools every day. But I think that there, when it comes to like making a collection and stuff like that, can be kind of finicky. But I think when it comes to like writing stuff, it's like it doesn't sound as good coming from AI than it does coming from a real person. So you kind of like see that. So I think when AI is done in a way where you can do several different angles to something with an AI, then it might not, like a website, it might not look like it's from AI. But maybe and because of the different narrow techniques that we have input for, it could just be like, wow, this is something totally new. And then it becomes something people like because you can do a lot of different tasks with it and it accomplishes something, right? And that's, I think, when you're doing a job, like it took me almost like 35 hours to get my website done, to where it was even like, good enough the first time. And then, it's still, without being able to use an AI or some developer that has a really good grasp of what a website is, it's still hard to make one. And that's just, not what we should be, where we should be at in like 2023, I guess.
Yeah, and I use it. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't. I use it. I love it. I'm going to use it for like some of the areas I'm deficient in, and all those things too as well. But as far as like the Web3 and AI, do you see that that's something that's going to actually like grow and actually kind of like basically be a bigger thing in this kind of next kind of like bull market, or is this going to kind of take a little bit to kind of grow and cultivate?
So here we run back to where we started. Mm-hmm. I think AI will be used against a lot of people. Well, because it will be able to decipher all the information, and that the government will be able to utilize. And I think if you look, governments went from kind of hating, even like China hating blockchain, because think of if they can't decipher all the information, then they would be scared of it. But now that AI's come and they're like, now it can make tools that actually take this information and it becomes more useful, right? And I think that's where, you know, they opened up more to being able to, like, yeah, we can control this now. We can get our fingers in this before, you know, the citizens all do. And yeah, we're confident, I think, is what I see from them, you know. So I don't know. That's, you know, that's kind of where I see from AI and in blockchain, because there's not many ways to utilize AI and blockchain just yet. Besides, probably governments have made many things since they started really coming up with more sophisticated AI. So
Yeah, but also like no part of you is kind of like scared in a weird way that we're gonna have like this like Terminator event where like they're gonna become like sentient and they're just gonna like take over the world or anything like that. No part of you kind of fears AI technology.
no, I think that we we could definitely unleash many EMPs if we wanted to.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. No, no, I definitely like that, and kind of like Derek though. I mean, hey, that's a good way of putting it. But also too, like there in a sense of like with Dinky Linkers and everything like that, and what you got, you're still minting right now too as well at a very reasonably priced mint price right now. Like they're like a year from now, like where would you kind of like want to be, right? A year from now, because I think the market's going to change, right? We're going to be in a lot better place a year from now. But a year from now, where would you like to be at?
I guess I would like to be close to having an app in the App Store that actually brings people into Web3, not kind of in a nonchalant way, right? To where people are just inviting people and they see something they can use in Web2, and they, you know, maybe they get stuck with tokens or something, you know, that, I mean, something like that, you know, to where it snags users, is where I see, you know, see ourselves just bringing ourselves into the limelight of people using what we create, being reasonably priced to where people are utilizing us on the daily. I think it's like, I might be quoting this wrong. I think it's like 20 million, or no, I think it's 60. I think it's 60 something million websites are made in a month. So that really just opened my mind to like how many hours people probably put into making a website, and what if we can actually make something that is super useful, that creates the outline exactly and very simply to where the user can just do what they want freely and have the setups they want, and in how their business, how they want their business started. So that's, I guess, where I would like to be at in a year.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. I totally like help your around and all those things, man. And I hope everything like kind of works out. But also too though with kind of like this bear market's kind of done right. It's kind of weeded out. Like some project has kind of fallen by the wayside and everything like that. And as a founder, like you kind of go into how tough it has it been building in this bear market, or has it been fairly easy for you?
Well, it's to be expected in a lot of ways, and how everything has gone, and how being here and just building it when we can, and however we can, and not rush things too, because see, the one thing, we could have rushed so many things, but then we had to take a step back. There's been a lot of moves and turnover in the team, which has been crazy, but kind of like eye-opening to me, because as a founder, nothing's ever going to go the way I want it to go, right? So being ready for all of that, and even when I'm not ready, take the punch, right, and move on, even if it slows me down, and still, I just see a goal, right? And when you see a goal, when you see a goal, you just want to accomplish that goal. And I think that's where, as a founder, it's set me apart in a way, because I see an actual way to accomplish what I want. And then when I get there, maybe it might not work, but at least, I see something in a place where I want to go. And then even more, move further than that in different ways. And I think that will be really cool to see that happen. And for a business in Web3, it's not really seen as much, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be definitely like one to kind of just see like how everybody kind of fares in this market. And Derek, I appreciate you kind of like coming on and like sharing your time with me. But kind of before you go, right, is there any kind of like anything else you want to say? Any community members you want to shout out, or actually anybody in general you would like to shout out?
Yeah, I would love to shout out Benjamin, my homie, my brother, my son. No, I'm just messing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like honestly, he's like what, like 10, 11 years younger than me, 12 years. But you know what, that guy, Benjamin, he's our Discord mod. I want to shout out to him because he's been there for years now, and it's been a ride. I was doing the same thing you were, and just interviewing projects, and then I was the one that was calling out the BS, and it was fun, but time to do some real work. And I'm not saying yours doesn't work, because it is, but time to do something that I hope lasts forever. And I hope this podcast, I last forever on this podcast, and maybe you go on the blockchain soon with it.
Who knows? But Derek, I do appreciate you coming on. And
thank you so much, man.
No, I appreciate you. And guys, this wraps our kind of show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Go mint yourself a Dinky Linker. Follow Derek on X. Follow me on X. And guys, I'll see you around in the next one. Take care.